Yo, what up? It's the Black Lex Luthor. Yo, so let's have a conversation about origins. Okay, so I'm gonna dial back the clock. I'll dial back the clock to my college days, and this commentary is really going to hit home as to why I do not believe in white supremacy, nor do I accept that narrative. The reason why I do not accept that narrative is thus. You know, I grew up mostly without any influence from my father. Um, I had a single mother for some of the time. I had a stepfather who was really not involved, of course. I mean, to be honest, I'm not his child. He's since died, and I hope that he rests in peace. But he was of no help to me. So as I grew up, and not even understanding, as I look back, I had a crisis of identity. I didn't know really who I was, what I was supposed to do in life, what choices I had, etc. I can recall, my senior year of high school being faced with the choice of either going to the military as a Marine or, going to college. And I actually had chosen to be a Marine. Lo and behold, my high school coach, he presented me with a couple of offers from this guy that worked as a coach at McMurray College in Jacksonville, Illinois. So having been a great art student and someone that has a penchant for the arts as I do, I was able to present my portfolio to the coach, and he talked to some of his advisors and also a few people in the university or in the college, and he was able to give me a scholarship. So the scholarship nullified any contractual obligation that I had with the Marines at the time. So I just ended up going to college. As I was there, man, it was a kind of a culture shock. I didn't know how to take it. I started to, which was a good thing, I started to absorb all of the information I could. And this is back in '95 when the internet, it was just getting on its feet, and there were all these billboard systems online, such as Brenta, and so I was online even then, like in these forums, chatting away with people, arguing with people, etc. It was there though that I ran into a couple of guys from the Nation of Gods and Earths, which kind of fed into my identity crisis. It really gave me a focus as to, who I thought I was or who I could be or whatnot. So the Nation of Gods and Earths, just to give you a brief outline, they're an offshoot of Islam, really the Nation of Islam, that believes that the black man is God and that the black woman is the earth beneath him, and that we are the makers and the controllers of the earth and the universe. We are the center. Well, of course, being a very naive young man with how much of an identity, to latch on to that to give me a purpose and some type of narrative, that was right up my alley. So I began calling myself King Universal Truth Allah, which of course, like I said, in hindsight, is absolutely ludicrous. Not only ludicrous for the fact that the whole name thing was ridiculous, but just the idea that any human being could be God is foolish. So, um, dismissing that later on, I dismissed Christianity later, and I had already had a loose kind of a loose attachment uh, to Christianity, but then I left it alone altogether. Um, so in college, what I notice and what I find in these kids today is that these social justice warriors are really hell bent on presenting this narrative that we are really we are somehow oppressed, and I don't understand it because we are given so many opportunities. You know, just white people go out of their way to give us opportunities. They go out of their way to present anything and everything to us as a way to combat this guilt that we've pressed on them for these historical events that their ancestors perpetrated, that they really don't have an affiliation with unless they choose to, which most of them, of course, would not. I don't know who would choose to be racist these days. I mean, you can, but it's foolishness. And which brings me to the fact that these social justice warriors calling white people racist is ironically racist in itself, because to have no basis for that, to call anyone an individual racist based on historical or past aggressions is false and it's evil. You shouldn't. There's no way that we would want white people to hold us accountable for deaths that we may have caused way back when, in some long forgotten skirmish. But I digress. I guess people could argue that that's a false equivalency. Okay, maybe it is. But I said it to say that I don't think anyone will want to be blamed for what their ancestors did. And that's why I don't see Jews blaming the Germans for the Holocaust. Like, they don't go around pointing fingers at Germany saying that you owe us something. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't exist anymore. Like, the Third Reich doesn't exist. These Nazis that do exist are few and far between. So I digressed a little bit. So let me go back to what I was saying. So in college, I was pretty lazy. And having had this narrative where, we thought the black man is God and all this and that, it also came along with the idea that the white man is the devil. So saying that the white man is the devil is once ludicrous in itself. I know plenty of black people that could be considered the devil by the actions that they perpetrated. So I will continue with this. Okay, so that was one of my very early false beliefs, and I began to not want to either associate with white people or believe that white people were just completely racist. And that's beyond the fact that no, there was nothing that white people perpetrated against me that would lead me to that. Having pledged Alpha in college and being an Alpha, a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated on Millikan University's campus, at that, having understood that and having gone through that, that process taught me a couple of things. One thing it taught me was that I am the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. I am the one who is in charge of my own choices, and I have to take responsibility for those choices. So there's a lot of choices that I made in college that allowed me to suffer after I graduated. You know, I was not able to get the kind of jobs that I wanted. I was not able to succeed the way I wanted to succeed because I didn't apply myself in college. I was supposed to be a graphic designer, and I didn't do the work that I should have. Even though I'm a very talented individual, with people know this. I learn very fast, technically sound, but I didn't apply myself enough. I played around too much, and I didn't focus, and so that hurt me. And I understand that. I look back and I understand that. I see that, you know, the problem was not that anybody was holding me down. I wasn't oppressed. The problem was that I did not apply myself. I did not have the proper help, or I did not seek the proper help while I was in college. That is my fault. That is also the fault of my parents. It's the fault of them because they're supposed to lead me and guide me and instruct me in the ways that are good for my betterment, you know. And I was supposed to have pride in that, but I lost that out. That's something that I can never get back. So now, as you know, I'm nearing into my 40s. You know, I'm thinking that I haven't done what I needed to do, and that's fine. I don't blame anybody for that. But here we are, it's 2016, and we have all these social justice warriors running around blaming white people for what they're going through, when all they really need to do is look within themselves and within our community and to see how that has failed them. And we have failed ourselves as black people. We have failed ourselves because we've lost focus. We've allowed the government to step in and become father to us by giving us things, constantly handing us things, instead of looking for our own betterment through being more educated, being smarter, being more family oriented. Instead, we have a community that has a 70% or above 70% out of wedlock rate, out of wedlock birth rate, which means that there is no man in the home, there is no man to lead, no man to instruct, which of course is a detriment to not only our women, but our men. But the thing about it is, the women are raising all of the children, who in turn are trying to blame white people for these problems. Now, if we're going to blame anyone, we need to blame ourselves. We need to look within to figure this all out. I don't want to make this video too long. I don't want to go, you know, it'll probably be a part 2 to this, just to kind of follow up and tell you point out some really concrete examples of these fallacies. So these false narratives, as they are continued to be perpetrated, they will inevitably be the end of our communities. And this is because now white people are on the defense. They don't want to hear this shit. They're mad. They're upset that we're saying they're racist when they have not done anything racist. We're saying they're racist or pointing out a racist, like this is a racist white supremacist society, but we're fucking up. Like, we can't get our own shit together, but we want to blame somebody else for this fucking issue. And that, to them, is rightly so bullshit. It's bullshit. Pick your fucking face up off the ground. Get some pride in your family. Make some better choices. I mean, this is simple. That's all I got to say right now.